Welcome back, everybody, to the Beyond the Wrestling Gear podcast. I'm here with the super podcaster. I would say, are you the one of the co-founders of LFC, Lingerie Fighting Championship?
So I just do the podcast. I'm the official podcast host for LFC.
Okay, yeah, there you guys have it, the official podcast host of LFC, Michael Larkin. Welcome, Michael.
It's a pleasure to be on your show, David. I appreciate the invite, and I look forward to chatting with you today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely, man. I have a lot of different questions about about you and about your podcast and LFC, and I want to just get things started with LFC itself. How did you get involved with Lingerie Fighting Championships?
So back in 2019, we're going pre-COVID here, David. So back in 2019, I was still doing my On the Mic with Mike series that I still do today for my channel and as far as my audio platforms go. So I'd interviewed a couple talents, and one of them was a woman by the name of Allie Parker, who also is a fighter with LFC, Allie Baby Doll Parks. She's since retired. Her last fight was back at LFC 30 during 2020 with Jolene the Valkyrie Hex. So she was a wrestler at the time, and her big story around that time was she gave her brother a kidney. This is different. This is unique. I'm interested because yes, they're beautiful sexual women, and lingerie entices you, but it's very cool with what they wanted. And I mean, I started interviewing more LFC girls. I had spoke with LFC CEO Sean Donnelly, and I had got a lot of his girls on, and he promoted a lot of my work. And then they were looking for a podcast, and we talked about some podcast ideas. And then Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the LFC podcast, was born. So that's kind of how it came into fruition.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome. That goes to show you that if you work hard enough and you show that you're persistent and you care about what you do, and obviously you're a wonderful person, people are willing to give you opportunities to do even bigger things
Of
within
course.
your space.
Decorum, and I've always put this out there, it's always about being the best representation of your presentation, representing yourself, presenting yourself well. And I think having the right measure regimen, and like you mentioned, the passion and persistent goes into it. I think then professionalism. So that goes a long way into your character and who you are as a person.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. As far as LFC is concerned, what are the differences between I know there's some wrestling involved, there's mixed martial arts. Is there anything different wise, like the rule setting, what they can wear, anything like that?
Well, the creative process, if you really look at it, we have a lot of different women that like the leather and lace. Some like the cutesy stuff. Some like a little bit of I'll be honest, even if you look at a woman like Vita Von Starr, who had a little goth look to it. We just had in the UK Goth Delilah, who showcased her black and gothic vibes, something that you would see out of a My Chemical Romance video. Somebody put on some Helena. I look at it from a stance like this, man. Everybody's very creative, unique in what they show from the presentation and the style and aesthetic. But I mean, LFC's normal moniker is a little bit of MMA, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of clothing. And a lot of girls have done it from indie wrestlers and so many women that you've seen within the mainstream who have been on many different various wrestling companies. But I think for me to answer your question, it's a combination of MMA, it's a combination of wrestling. And I always equate it to like the LFL, right? Because the Lingerie Football League was badass women playing football and showing the contact, but looking good while doing it. And the only real rule is, no punches or strikes to the face because you don't want to mess up the moneymaker. But it's a lot of MMA.
Right.
Do it.
And then my other question is, are they mostly like you mentioned indie wrestlers, things like that? Are they all usually trained, or do they just come in from anywhere?
We have a lot of models that have been there that also train to do this. There's a lot of women that are serious when it comes to this, who may have backgrounds like, for example, our current European champion Jolene Hex has a background in Krav Maga, and she's trained very well and extensively over the years. Jennifer Thomas, who was Karma in WWE, not the Awesome Kong Karma, but Karma in the developmental system. And we've had women from Shelly Martinez, who was in WWE as
That's
Ariel.
right.
We've had so many women like Renee Michelle, who has been in the WWE, married to rock star Spud, Drake Maverick. So you see a lot of women who have been in WWE, who have appeared on Impact, who have appeared on AEW, and so many people. And for example, like you mentioned, Indy, there was a talent by the name of Lauren Ceccarelli, who wrestles on the independent scene as Laura Frazier. So there's a lot of different walks of life that want to do this because they feel empowered, they like the entertainment aspect, and it's fun. And it's a lot of people that really get to be creative with it. So we get people from all walks of life, and it's really great to see people who have interest and are invested in the product.
It's really cool how you guys are really starting to travel too. Like you guys were just recently in Cardiff, right, for your last card.
Yes, the last two shows were LFC 43's Independence Day, Team USA versus Team UK, and LFC 44 and Underground Knockouts in Cardiff, Wales.
Awesome, awesome. And is there usually a pretty? Are you guys do you guys usually have your shows in like small venues, or have you guys been able to book anything like?
So with coming into the company, doing the podcast and doing my role there from 2019 and really learning about the product, like years ago, probably around 2017, 2018, LFC did a show called Eurobash in Bratislava, Slovakia. That was before I came around. And this time we're officially, the UK was a big show in 2020, 2021. We did events in Sturgis in South Dakota, which was very big. But mostly the home base has been in Las Vegas, and two shows that I've had the pleasure of ring announcing actually took place at the FSW Arena. And for those who are unfamiliar with that, that's Future Stars of Wrestling, which has given us the likes of the Karrion Crosses, the Zoe Starks, the Brian Cages, the Eli Drakes, the LA Knights. It's a lot of places that we get to see wrestling there, but we've also had the privilege of being in that arena. Sam's Town Casino, which has held a lot of tapings for TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, and Ring Warriors, and so many things out of there back in the day. So we've gotten go to a lot of cool places, but the home base is mainly Las Vegas. But going to the UK was just something that really adds a lot of layers and more eyes onto the product.
I mean, being that you guys are in Vegas, I would assume that you guys have been in contact with like the UFC or anything like that with Dana. Anybody there?
No, I can say on
No,
my end, as far as that goes, I
really?
think we just mainly towards our thing. Yeah, we just do our
Okay.
own.
Yeah, I would think you guys are like they would scout, your talents into maybe, joining the promotion in any sort of sense. That's what I thought about it. So
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, I look at it from a stance like this. Unfortunately, no, we kind of, like I mentioned, do our own thing and creative side of things. I mean, UFC and a lot of the MMA talents, I always find it funny, would kind of look at our promotion like down upon because it's lingerie. But I'm like,
that's
there's a lot of people that like it, and I think that's the one thing that I always say to people. If you really look at it from an aesthetic and style point of view, it's the empowerment side, it's the creative side. If you look at it through the right lens and expand stand of just like looking at closed minded like that, I think people can really see the product and beauty for what it is.
yeah, that's where I was gonna head to. Is you guys get a lot of scrutiny and criticism because they wrestle and they fight in lingerie, because most people would look at it as kind of like taboo, because you're not used to seeing it that way.
It's funny, and I love that you asked this question because it gets asked a lot, but I always love putting it to it like this. There was an article in RT Sport talking about entertainment or exploitation, and I'm like, first and foremost, let's stop it right there. These are women who are not forced like you must wear lingerie. It's an entertainment value. Women feel sexy, women are beautiful. It's an internal and external side of things. Women love to wear lingerie, and if they can kick ass and take names at the same time, I think that's wonderful. You see women, I'll even back in the day, like everybody used to have that counter program with WWE. Like, okay, women had 4 minute matches, but then you could go to an indie like Shimmer, and these women are wrestling 10 to 15 minutes and putting on classics. There's sex appeal that goes into everything. We say sex sells. That's one of the most common phrases in business. So it doesn't matter if it's entertainment, if it's lingerie. Women feel sexy, women feel empowered, women feel strong. And that's the best part about it. It has that sense of just pride to it. They take pride in their work. There's discipline. It's not just women rolling around in lingerie. You have to have the right acumen and regimen to go into it.
Right, and like you mentioned earlier, you have to have the training in order to step into that ring. It's not just you have a pretty face and we'll have you step in the ring and take punches and call it a day because if you're not trained, you can get seriously hurt. And obviously, you guys care about your fighters and the company's well-being.
It's what I say always, David, and I look at it within my line of work and everything that we do. It's safe and spectacular. Be safe and do it. Crawl out your craft in spectacular fashion.
Yes, yes. And tell me a bit about your other podcast. What are you venturing? What else are you venturing in?
So the Steve and Mike show is myself and my best friend Steve Nicoforo. Steve and I have been best friends since high school, David. It's one of those things where I love just in doing that because it's him and I just letting loose, talking about some fun stuff, whether it be in the pop culture realm or even we throw in some wrestling from time to time. It's just two buddies hanging out and shooting the breeze as only as we can do. There's some pop culture history as well. I used to have my former co-host Brittany Savage, who did a lot of great work in wrestling. We had her on for a little bit talking some pop culture and wrestling. I've had an slew of guests. I've touched upon everything from pop, R&B, and rap because it's something that I love. It's music, it's art form. There's so many different categories. My On the Mic with Mike series, so I've interviewed people who have been in LFC, professional wrestling on the indies and whatnot. I've interviewed people in the adult entertainment industry, so you get people of all different facets of life telling their stories. Other shows that I have on the channel are the Weekly Review with myself, Paul Morales, and Daniel Crimmins, where we talk wrestling. There's everything in the week interview from news and notes, into the heart of wrestling with my friend Robert Davis and Nicola McDonald, where we touch upon different topics and as well as predictions, and same with my boy Daniel Crimmins on Uncaged. So you get a lieu of wrestling shows, you get wrestling discussion, you get pop culture discussion, and the best way to put it is you get a lot of hilarity because I have a lot of great people that work with me, and it's just a joy each and every time out going into the recordings.
Awesome, awesome. And I mean, we just came off a big weekend too in wrestling. Great American Bash, Evolution, All In. There was a lot of scrutiny with All In because of how long it was. 6 hours.
Yeah.
6 hours for a show. That is outrageous. Yeah, I don't know how people stayed there for that long. I would be burnt out.
I mean, I look at it back in the day when you had like WrestleMania 32 when Roman and Triple H went into like midnight, 12:30, and I mean they started at 6 for. It reminds me of, I know Tony Khan wants to get his money's worth with this because it's $50 for the pay-per-view, but it's just like doggone, man. Like you start these shows and you just let it go into the night. Like I mean, Triple H, I always look at it from the different booking side of things. Triple H is about quality over quantity. You can give me 5 great matches on a pay-per-view and it works, it sticks, much like we saw with the Great American Bash and what that pay-per-view provided and the upbringing of the characters. And I mean, all it was a great show, but Tony just has not found the formula of him like, okay, less is more, quality over quantity. We have to go 6 hours every time. I think his mindset is kind of based on like, we watch Japan and Japan is a great wrestling. It's strong style, but damn it, Wrestle Kingdom is like 5 or 6 hours long. Not every pay-per-view of yours, Tony, has to be booked like a Wrestle Kingdom.
Right, right. Not only that, but this whole counter programming thing is ridiculous. It's stupid. Because I understand why he was doing it. He wanted to counter Saturday Night's Main Event, which honestly it backfired on both companies. Not only that, but you have Bill Goldberg who's pissed off about him getting his promo cut after the show ended. It lasted 30 seconds and NBC cut it. And they had to put the whole promo on YouTube.
Right, and the thing too is, to go on to your point, I mean, we've seen it before back in the day with the Starcades and WrestleManias and the counter programming with NWA and WWF. But I think at this junction now, especially in 2025, you're going to see a lot more of that. You had Forbidden Door now, which is going to be running the same day early, and then we're going to have NXT Heatwave at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. With both companies, I mean, Goldberg is gonna Goldberg, to put in the bluntest of terms.
Yeah,
I mean,
regardless.
I understand where he's coming from, but it's like, Bill, it's a network decision. And here's the thing. They gave you a retirement match. They gave you Gunther, who worked around you to make you look good, which he has aforementally said. But it's just like, damn it, man. Like, can you ever just be happy? They gave you the match. They gave you the match, and it was not a bad match to boot. And I mean,
good.
it was very good. And I mean, I look at it from the all-in side of things. I mean, they started at 3, they ended early, and Tony wanted to go a little after so he can compete, but it is what it is, man. And you had NXT, the Great American Bash, early in the day. It's a lot of wrestling, but god dang it, man, it is a lot to really consume, you know?
I mean, Steven Richards, he has his own podcast, and he was just talking about it. He's like, by the time the second match rolled around and All In, I was already on all fours because I was like, really? It's not over yet? There's still more to go? Like, it was like the second or third hour in, and he's like, I'm over this now.
The same feeling. So when I was a kid, in 2005, I was 13. My first ever Ring of Honor event I went to, one of the matches on the shows was Claudio Castagnoli against Milano Collection AT, who wrestled in Japan a lot, and I believe he does some commentary over there now. That match went like 30 minutes, and I'm like, this match should have been like done 10 minutes ago, like too many near falls, and I'm like, it was good, don't get me wrong, from the wrestling side of things, but I'm like, okay, can we end this now? We're already like in the middle of the show. We got a lot more to go here. Like, can we like end it, please?
Right. I mean, but overall, it's a win-win for any wrestling fan. If you want to watch AEW, you could watch AEW. If you're a big fan of WWE, stick with WWE. You don't have to stick with one and just keep it that way. You could go anywhere.
Absolutely. And just on ratings, just enjoy the professional wrestling and let it just linger, man.
How long are your shows for Lingerie Fighting Championship? What's the
So for
time frame?
LFC, they could probably arrange, and oh man, now you're actually making me think of the ranges. Okay, so it's about an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours. These last events, if you include the weigh-in, was probably a little over 2 hours. So it ranges from like the hour and a half time frame to 2 hours.
That's not bad. Do you guys do the weigh-in the same day of the fights or just the day before?
So when I did the weigh-ins for the LFC 35 show, we did it the weigh-ins probably about a half an hour earlier, start before the start time of 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. So with this one, if you look at LFC 43, which is now on MMA TV Live.uk, they started right with the weigh-ins and then the wait like 20 minutes and then they went right into the show. So it was the pre-show before the actual show.
You guys are, fighting entity, obviously. Follow the same protocol as like USADA, with the drug testing, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're so safe when it comes to testing and stuff as far as like making sure everybody is in the right frame of mind, everybody is clear, but we don't go out of our way to do anything if they have a concussion or anything. So LFC's been very, very safe and thank God, knock on wood, we haven't had any like severe injuries of that sort. I mean, it is LFC, you're out there in combat sports and you're absolutely going out there in entertainment and there is the risk there, but thankfully nothing has had a serious injury as far as going into that. So we've been pretty safe and pretty lucky with our testing.
Yeah, I was watching one of the fights the other day, and I think it ended up in a double submission knockout. I've never seen that before. That is a rarity. Were they both okay after the fight?
Oh, dude, they were okay, and I know which fight you're referring
Good,
to. I
good.
mean, it was
Yeah.
it was a knockout, drag out bout, but thankfully everything is good on their front. Everybody came out in one piece.
Wow. I mean, that must have been a fight to remember. If you were to create a highlight reel, that'd probably be one of the fights in there.
Oh,
Good to
yeah.
see.
When you have like Jolene and Bella Inc., and you have all these women that go out of their way to do what they do. I mean, they've built feuds, they've built story. It's just the high octane aerial assault and overall the adrenaline rush that is LFC. But thankfully, like I mentioned, knock on wood, everybody's been safe, and that just adds more fuel to the fire for their feud.
Awesome, awesome. Where do you guys see like the company going within the next few years? I know you guys in Cardiff and in different areas around the world, and especially Vegas. Do you guys plan on venturing outside of Vegas eventually, like coming to Florida?
I mean, for workers there, it really just
Awesome.
depends on budget and everything and from a financial standpoint. But for me, as the podcast host and as a fan of this fine product, I certainly hope so.
That's awesome, man. And it sounds like you really enjoy what you do, and you're passionate about what you do.
Very much so, man. I mean, my mindset, like the title of the podcast, is Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, which is beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. If you can incorporate it from what they do in and outside the ring, I think that's something that a lot of people can attest to and relate to. And if it really does inspire people, because that's our goal as human beings is to exist to inspire, then that means I did my job correctly.
Hey, that's all that matters, right? As long as you do your job and you do it correctly, and obviously everybody's enjoying what they do, and obviously you stand up for what you believe in. That's what's most important.
Absolutely. Authenticity and realism is key, my friend.
Yes, that's with anything. Well, Michael, where can my listeners find your podcast, find more about you and about Lingerie Fighting Championship? And do you guys have an event coming up pretty soon? Another one?
So, as far as right now, I cannot say, but I will say this. Stay tuned and be on the lookout to lfcfights.com, which will include a lot of the great shows, much like David mentioned, LFC 43, it's Independence Day 2, and LFC 44 Underground Knockouts from Cardiff, Wales, and London, England, specifically and separately. You get to see a lot of stuff on that channel as well, besides the LFC podcast. You got Tommy Bell Art, Sketchy and Funny. You have all the LFC events, LFC Exposed reality show, and so much more. And if you really want to see all of our fights as far as like the samples and everything that goes into it, check out the LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships YouTube channel. As far as my podcast goes, like we mentioned, the VIP section of the website, you can go to S&M Network Shows, which is my YouTube channel that features the shows that we mentioned earlier, from Deeper to the Heart of Wrestling, Weekly Review, On the Mic with Mike, Pop Culture, Stephen Mike, and the LFC podcast in itself. And it's on audio platforms, that being Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your audio goodness. Check me out on the socials, and I'm sure David will have this in the description. It is SM Show 1 and MCL92 on Twitter, and Larkin_92 MLarkinMB on Instagram. Come say hi. I'm very easy to talk with and message with on social media, as this one knows, as he has offered me to be on this fine platform, which I appreciate. So yeah, I'm very easygoing. So if you want to come say hello and say what's up, I'm more than welcome to oblige and interact with you.
Definitely, it has been a pleasure and an honor to have you on my show, and I wish you and LFC and your podcast.
And the same with you, man. Support all the podcast creators. And I'll say this before we go off here. Support content creators, support David, support myself and everybody that really showcases and highlights their platform for people to tell their stories, because it's a wonderful platform. And I'm just very excited to see where the journey continues. So thank you.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome, as I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
All. Let's see.